Hello and welcome to Relationship with You. I'm Mia Sines and this is Lori Montry.
Good morning. Yeah, we are so excited. This talk in particular is really kicking off something that me and I are really excited about. We've decided to devote a lot of our energy and our love and into helping people with relationships. We've been in the love field for forever, right? Whether that was self-love and interpersonal love as well. And people are reaching out right now, both, cosmically, energetically, and in their lives, and saying, we need to create more divine connection in our lives. And so we have been hearing that call, and we are ready to show up for that. And this talk today is going to be kind of a first one in a bigger picture for us, which is ready for love, right? We're all ready for love. And today we're going to talk about where it all starts, the very, very foundational piece of love, which is the relationship with yourself. That is where everything starts. And if you want to have a, divine and connected relationship with another person, you've got to start with a divine and connected relationship with yourself. So that's what our topic is all about today. So let's dive in, Mia, and really talk about, what does it mean to have a relationship with yourself? And, from my perspective, I would say that it means you're really in tune with your feelings, right? You show up for yourself in every situation, even when showing up for yourself doesn't feel good. It doesn't suit what somebody else may want. I think it means being radically authentic without any other agenda except for being true to who you are. So, we see that coming up a lot, I think, and even in the coaching world, I've seen a lot of stuff where, coaches are like, here's the new rules for dating. Mm-hmm. And they'll give you kind of things like, you never answer text, more than 2 hours before, you always wait, and all of these kinds of rules. And for me, that seems like a kind of a violation of who you are and your authenticity. It's not about following some set of rules or some, idea around who you need to be in order to attract a mate or in order to, have a happy relationship. Because I guarantee you 100% that if you are not being you in a relationship, you are not going to be happy. Right? It's you're not there to experience it if you're not the one actually showing up. So it shows up in a lot of respects, how we don't give ourselves, don't show up authentically, don't have that close connected relationship with ourselves. We're always looking outside. What does the person need? What would they like me to say here? All of these things, and instead of tuning inward, and again, my point is that if you want a powerful and connected relationship with another, you've got to build that for yourself first, because when you show up as someone else in a relationship, you can't feel deeply connected and they can't feel deeply connected to you. So it's not even a possibility, right? Even if you were willing to do it, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. These rules that we put upon ourselves, they come from very, very early ages, right? Yeah. Things that have been told to us. And most of the time, authentically, they're not even who we are. And so as we play outside of the rules, right, that are set upon us, and we actually become who we are, everything begins to look differently.
Yeah, the perspective, right, is totally different. Right.
And it's really powerful not to be afraid when you look at this, because this is who you actually are, is these beautiful pieces within that you were once told, don't be that way. Don't be that way. And when Lori was talking about the relationship and what it would be like authentically, wow, isn't that incredible if we actually were, who we actually are with our person, with our mate, instead of trying to be better, trying to do this.
Yeah. And a lot of times we don't even know that we are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned from such a young age, and a lot of us, learned to be people pleasers. And that was how we got through, right? That was our protective mechanism. It made sense. We were able to adapt and be in our environments in a way that was easy, right? Without
Mm-hmm.
all the tools that we needed to understand how to do it differently. So a lot of people, especially the people come to us, they don't even realize that they're showing up inauthentically in their relationships, right? And then sometimes we do, but we have fears around it. And just to kind of go into a couple of those fears, one of the fears is if I act authentically, then the other person won't like me.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear it out loud and to really dive into it, it's like, wow, do I really believe that? Or do I really, care so much about that? Because if you're in a relationship and the person doesn't like the real, authentic you, what are you doing in that relationship? Right? And we're showing up, we're trying to create something from a place of inauthenticity. And it's not going to be sacrificed, or it's not going to be satisfying ever, not for them and not for you. So, I invite you, never sacrifice who you are to make someone else like you, or even to make them feel good. That path never leads anywhere good. You're not going to enjoy your life, and if you've always got to be figuring out who you should be. What should I do in this situation? What, instead of being guided and driven by your internal guidance system that is incredibly wise and has everyone's best interest in mind, you're going to always be wondering, well, how should I show up in this situation? And repressing needs and not being a full expression of who you are. A lot of people, they'll say things like, well, I didn't ask for what I needed because, the other person already had enough on their plate, or I didn't want to seem needy, or I didn't want to seem pushy, right? But when you're truly in alignment, you're not needy and you're not pushy, right? We can be, but that's not who we really are either. So when we take the time to really develop that relationship with ourselves and understand what our needs are, legitimate needs, then we really want to be in a space of honoring them. And what we're suggesting here is not that, we're not insensitive to other people. That's not at all what we're talking about. Of course, we want to be sensitive. We want to be sensitive, and we absolutely want to take the other person's needs into account while we're getting our needs met, right? While we're getting our needs met, not to supplant their needs for ours. And that's a big difference, right? Because when we don't listen to our internal guidance, again, we're going to end up making the wrong decisions for us and for them, because our divine internal guidance knows what is the best, right? Let's see, we have a question.
When we don't do this, what we end up doing is chasing our tail. There gets to a point we are just moving and running, trying to keep up with making somebody else happy, that we've forgotten who we are. And so that's the tail chasing, right? You just go round and round in circles.
And this question just came, what can I do? I'm afraid of not being interesting enough. And that's such a perfect, what you just said, chasing your tails, right? Because I promise you, you are incredibly interesting. No matter, I know that you are. Everybody here absolutely is. And so it's only when it's the fear that we're not, it's the fear of how am I being perceived that is blocking you from really expressing yourself and being that version of yourself that is interesting. And we don't have to worry about being interesting to everybody. Like, I'm sure I would bore the hell out of a lot of people. Like, oh, she talks about it, I'm sure of it. And that's okay, right? I wasn't made for, close connected relationship with everyone. I wasn't made for, there are certain people that resonate with us. And when we can set aside the need or thinking that, it means something if this person doesn't find me interesting. Well, if they don't find me interesting, that's okay. It has absolutely no bearing on me being an interesting person. And when I can just let that go and really know for myself, when that, that deep connection, respect, and honor that I have for myself, that I'm interested in me, then I open up the vibration for the people who also find me interesting, who I resonate with, and who we have things in common, for them to come in. But if I'm afraid and I'm trying to be something that I'm not, then I'm actually calling in people, right, that are not good matches for me. And so this is all part of, it's a bigger picture, but what we're saying here is kind of the overview of how important it is, and how all of these issues go away when you know who you are and you have that solid relationship with yourself. You walk into a situation and you're like, this person may find me interesting. They may not, but I'm going to enjoy being here with myself. And if this is somebody who finds me interesting, great. We might, develop a friendship and then something else. And if they're not, that's okay. I don't need to waste my time trying to be something, because then I'm just going to, not only is that not something that I want to pursue, right? Wasting my time, but I also block myself from being interesting, from being that full expression of ourselves. So I will never be found interesting, even by people who would be good matches for me, because the fear of it and me just trying to manage it and be something else is going to prevent me from really shining that beautiful, light of who I really am.
And this may sound like, wow, how do I do all this? And how does it come about? One of the things that you've heard before, but I remember the first time I heard it, it shocked the pants off of me. I was like, and that is, if you want a real connected, deep, long-lasting love, guess where it starts? It's an inside job. And so when the first time I heard that it was an inside job, I was like, oh, what have I been doing? So we realize that it's our responsibility, and it's all about us connecting with somebody else through who we are, and we energetically connect them. Our world changes and fears go away. Should we talk about some of the fears?
Yeah, well, that first fear is, right, they're not going to like me, right?
Yep.
And the second fear is really, kind of very similar, is I'm going to come across, I'm being selfish, right? By not trying to meet their needs, or not try to be the person that they would like me to be. But if you really think about that, whether or not acting, radically authentic is selfish, there's a truth that I want to invite you all to just try it on and see how it fits you. But that truth, that has 4 parts. The first part, and I break it down really simply, we always do, because it's like you can grasp each part. And I think that it really resonates with people when you look at it in its most simple form. But number 1, divinity lives inside you, right? The incredible source that made you lives inside you, right? And you have access to that. When you're in touch with that divinity, that's when you're being your authentic self. Okay. So the third point is, what you're guided to do when you're connected with your authentic self is divine, right? Because it comes from the divinity within you. So number 4, all of your actions are not only best for you, they're best for everybody. And so that trust, that deep trust, all you need to do is follow your inner guidance. You don't have to be worried about, how this person is going to receive it and what they might need in this moment. That's not for us, right? We have one job, and that job is to, essentially to Hamlet, be true to yourself. And when we do that, we can trust it's best for us. We can trust it's best for the situation, and it won't always be obvious. I always give the silly example of, a 3-year-old gets a new bike and they just can't wait to ride it out in the street, right? And we have to tell them no. Like, the 3-year-old has no idea why that's not the best idea ever in the universe. But, we have to be true to ourselves, right? And wanting to take care of and protect the child. So it doesn't matter if they understand. It doesn't matter even if we understand. If we're following that internal guidance, then we're doing our job, and we're setting ourselves and everyone else up for success. Yeah. So, when we think about, a lot of people have never really gotten connected with their authentic selves, and they don't really know who they are authentically. And that's okay, because it's a beautiful process, and it's a really fun process. It's not something that, we have to fear or even say, oh my gosh, it's a terrible thing. I don't. It's an amazing journey to really get connected. And I also find that no matter how connected you think you are, there's always room for more connection and more authenticity with ourselves, which is a really beautiful thing too. So how do we know who we are authentically? Mia and I spend always, as a foundational piece in all of our programs and all of our work with people, is to start there, right? And we have lots of material and integration that we do around that to help people get really rooted. But Mia, what would you say are some of the most important tools for understanding who you are authentically, connecting with yourself, to even be able to hear that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I really love how we're talking about that we get to be our own source, right? When you think about that, doesn't matter if whatever words you use, it's that energetic strength within you, that connectedness. We've all felt it, whether it's, prana, life force, source, spirit, God, creator. It doesn't matter what you give it, it's there within you. So connecting yourself and trusting. How many people actually have a childlike trust for themselves? It has to be developed because we're not taught that. So there's many different ways in which, but it's all about raising your emotional intelligence level. And that's done through the parts work that we do, through the inner child, through journaling, through listening to yourself, through stilling yourself, and like during meditation, being quiet with those thoughts, and what comes in, learning how to trust, learning how to listen.
Yeah. And getting guidance sometimes and support. It can be
most of the time that keeps people on track until they become profoundly strong in their own footsteps. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes, we don't see, as you always say, we don't see what we don't see. And so, we're showing up and we have certain patterns and we're like, what? That's what? And someone else looking in can ask the questions like, how do you see this pattern? Why do you think you might have followed that route? Why do you think this keeps showing up in your life? And that gives you the opportunity to really reflect on some things, some focused things where you're like, oh, I never really put those things together, but it opens a door for exploration, and where the answers lead to an understanding of who you are. And, of course, we don't have tons of time to go so deep into that today, but we do have the really awesome training that we did 2 weeks ago with the other Know Who You Are coaches, the Barry Selby and Christopher and Christine. And so we should link that here or somehow. I think it was how do you know who you are was the name of that video. And that went into, that was a whole discussion on some of the ways that, but it takes some effort. It takes some, exploration, some willingness. And I always think, a little bit of guidance, not to tell you who you are, but just to open you up to asking the questions, what should I be reflecting on, and where do my answers lie, right? Not what your answers are, because being deeply connected to your values and your strengths and your preferences and who you are at the soul level is really, like we said, that's the inside job. That's what allows you to have that connection with another.
Very powerful. Many people are fearful at first because they don't know how to still the talk, the chatter.
Yeah.
They don't want to put themselves thinking that they can create a life because it hasn't worked, or it's scary as heck, or we're aging. Whatever the story is about you is truly not the story that you need to be focusing on. What you need to be focusing on is who you truly are, your greatness, your
greatness.
Mm-hmm. It's not about the deficiencies. Those shift and change as you open up to the greatness of you. And many times people don't know exactly, like Lori was saying, they don't know exactly why, because they haven't been trained how to think about those spaces that keep us trapped down.
Yeah. 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 And there's a lot of fears that are kind of under the surface because we put so much value into our relationships. And maybe value is not the right word, because of course we value our relationships, right? We're human. And that is one of the, we can only be a full expression of ourselves, right? Through our relationships. But we try to create relationships. We try to give them responsibility for a lot of areas of us. Like, for example, a lot of people use their relationships, or try to use their relationships, it never works, to validate themselves. I need you to validate me because I don't know how to do it for myself. I need you to make me feel worthy because I don't know how to do that for myself. I need you to bring me a sense of security because I can't provide that for myself. I need you to make me happy because I can't provide that for myself, right? And this is entirely misplaced, right? This is the only person that you should be depending on for all those things to feel validated and worthy and happy and secure is yourself. Mm-hmm. And then that is not negating or saying that we don't need relationship or we can't want it and we have to be so self-sufficient. That's not at all what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that you're the very best person for that job. Because, why would you want to give those responsibilities over to another person? Why would you want to hand over your precious soul, right, to another person and say, hey, you deal with her, right? You're the only one who truly knows how to give yourself what you need. So it's time for all of us to take that responsibility and know that this is a beautiful job. Right. And sometimes when we say this, and I know for myself learning this, the resistance came up right away and was like, I don't know how to care for myself, or I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want that job. I want somebody else to do it for me, or it doesn't feel as good when I do it versus when somebody else does it. And I would challenge that. I would just say that, maybe you need a little bit of help figuring out how to do it more powerfully. For many of us, we didn't learn how to provide security and validate ourselves, own our worthiness, and make ourselves happy, right? So if we don't have any idea how to do that, and we're getting a little bit of it from our relationships, of course, we're going to keep trying to do that. We're going to squeeze more out of it. We're going to be like, give me some security here. But it doesn't really ever feel that good because we know it's dependent on somebody else. And we know it's always going to be up and down no matter who that person is. And that's because it wasn't meant to fill that need completely, right? What we get to have is a life where I always feel loved. I always feel worthy. I always feel secure. I always feel validated. I always feel worthy. I always feel happy, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, I get to feel that way because I've taken responsibility and I've learned how to provide it for myself. And what happens is not a, oh, I don't need you kind of relationship, but a beautiful relationship where all the responsibility for me is not resting on your shoulders. And then it can be, that's like, I've heard it described by a lot of people, we say that that's like the whole Sunday, right? When we can provide that for ourselves and we show up as this complete person and then the relationship is like that beautiful cherry on top. It's like the perfect addition, but it's not the whole Sunday. Or the way I like to describe it is, when we have that relationship for ourselves and we can do that and give ourselves all those things, that's like this gorgeous salad with everything that we really need in order to nourish our bodies and be really healthy. Right? That's our relationship with ourselves. And then do we also want a little piece of cheesecake sometimes? Absolutely. And the cheesecake is far more delicious because we're already nourished. But if we're just trying to eat, get our cheesecake and nourish our bodies all the time, it's not going to work and we're not going to feel good. So we have the question here. How can we feel secure and provide it for ourselves? Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's something, that is, we don't feel like that's a possibility because maybe, it started in infancy or in childhood where I don't feel secure, but at the time you didn't have the tools. So there was never that foundation built for you where security was there, and that's my personal experience. Like security was never there. So growing up in adulthood, how do I provide security for myself? And there's a lot of really beautiful methods. Mia, would you like to speak to that? And then I have a couple of thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm thinking as I'm listening to you sharing, and I'm thinking about one of the greatest things that we teach that you brought into our business and why we became not why we became partners, but it supported it, was you work on the nervous system, keeping it calm. And most people don't know how to do the somatic body work to do that, whether it's, how to nurture themselves just right. So if you don't know that, you may be interested in that, but for some simple things, it's about being grounded. What about breathing? Your breath work. There's a box breathing that helps to calm you down and bring you back to center. There's asking yourself these are simple things, guys, asking yourself, how do I feel in this situation? And how do I want to feel? It's about being present, connected to yourself so that you go smoothly along. It is about looking at your problems, your situations, and understanding that the trauma was there long before you got to the place you are now. That's one reason why I brought up the nervous system work, because it's so important to calm yourself and be balanced so that you can absorb and retain and move forward faster. Lori and I have had this process. And then when we came together, we're like, wow, it's so crazy that we both are seeking the fastest ways for people to move through all of these spaces. Let's not stay behind, because we get to feeling like that. Lori, what are some other ones that you'd like to share?
Yeah. And this is a big part of, again, all the work that we do. We start with this, right? This piece of developing that relationship and developing the security for ourselves. But one of the most important things you can do is kind of really realize where you've been handing yourself over to someone else to take care of your security, and asking the question of, how could I be providing it for myself? When you really get aware of it, and because you're asking the question, you're going to have some really incredible downloads and some insight into how this could work for you, just because you're open to it now and answering and asking the question. But I mean, can you imagine being in a kind of relationship where you never have to rely on someone else to make you feel secure, right? You get to feel good all the time, enjoy these good, secure feelings or these feelings of joy and worthiness, no matter what's going on. And then you get to enjoy another person, right? In these kind of highly conscious, divinely connected relationships. But I would say, getting really in touch with the part of you that doesn't feel secure, right? Really understanding that part. And a lot of methods, and one that I'm really use a lot for myself and my clients and Mia is such a brilliant teacher of it, is, that inner child. Where does the inner child feel insecure? And then having dialogue and really understanding, what are you thinking? What are you feeling around the insecurity? And asking the question, what do you need? What is the loving action that I can provide for you today? And so it doesn't happen. You don't do that once and immediately feel, all the security of the world, just rush in. You do that consistently over a period of time. And again, for me, and I know for a lot of people, they'll say, the guidance through that process was really important, because we don't see the ways that we are listening to the messages about how we can't be secure for ourselves. We're only hearing the voice of the little one that's saying, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. And so she's looking to you, grown up, powerful, resourceful, greatest us, right? These women that are here together, and we can provide for them, but we have to stop over identifying with that little self that feels that insecurity and start feeling into. And that's another reason why this work of really knowing who you are, right? We're understanding and knowing the powerful, resourceful version of you that can absolutely provide security for your for the parts of you that aren't feeling secure. And so it's about awareness first, right? Always the first step to every transformative process is that awareness of, where am I not feeling secure? Where did that come from in my life? Understanding, oh, there was a reason for that. It's not true. I'm not actually insecure in the world right now. I'm just feeling that way because of these things that happened. And so, diving into that process a little bit, but just something that you can take away from this talk right here is to really get in touch with the part of you that's feeling insecure, understanding what it's all about, and talking to her, that part, as the loving adult that you are, and saying, what are you believing to be true right now that has you feeling insecure? What's the loving action that I can provide for you? And you might be surprised at some of the things that she comes up with, and it's really beautiful. And then following through with that loving action and actually doing it, and then building that repertoire over time and that communication. And it does happen, even though it feels like right now, oh, I can't do that. Like, I'm not a safe place. I haven't felt that. And when you haven't felt security and safety in your life, you feel like I did this thing a couple of times and it didn't change. And so that's not the right route, right? And we just keep moving on and looking for it wherever we can find a piece of it. But really diving in and being connected to those parts of you is life-changing, truly.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to tell them about the masterclass.
Yes. This is, this topic today is like this much of the whole bigger picture that we were talking about in the very beginning when we said we're devoting some time and energy into really helping people get fully ready for love and realize that divine connected relationship that is on their heart. That is something that's speaking to them and saying, I know that I want this, but I don't want to go about it in the same ways that I have in the past. I want to really, find that, for lack of, I know it sounds cheesy, but that magical relationship, that relationship that is, where we have maturity and it's secure and loving and fulfilling relationship. And so we have a few things coming up, and the next one is a free masterclass where we're going to talk about overcoming the top 3 blocks, because we all put up blocks. We don't even know we're doing it. We're like, why is this love that I've been, calling in? Why is it not in my life yet? Right. And there's some blocks that we can look at. And so we want to help you understand what those blocks are. And, again, that first step, awareness, and then kind of how you can break through them. And that's going to lead into some other opportunities that we are going to be offering to work with us in a 4-week class, Ready for Love. But the masterclass is coming up a week from tomorrow at 6:30 on Wednesday, the 26th. And so we're going to put a link here.
That's Mountain Standard Time. So
yes.
5:30
yes, thank you
Pacific and 8:30 Eastern.
Yeah. So we want to, we're going to be putting it out everywhere so that you guys can get signed up for that. And it's something that we want to offer to you because, like I said, people are just expressing this is the need in their life. Energetically, they're ready for more. They know that it's possible for them. And so we want to move the blocks and really get some clarity around what could that look like and how do I want to do it differently this time. So the masterclass is coming up next week.
I also wanted to share, it just keeps coming to me to say, this work isn't just to find your mate or to find yourself. It is to find yourself. And sometimes for me, makes me weepy when I think about it. This work, this beautiful work has brought me actually back to my husband. And so that was a relationship that I thought was over with. And so this last year, it just has opened up so beautifully from doing this work, which I've always done, but it softened my heart and it opened my heart differently. So I'm not saying, guess what, you get to get together with your ex or something. But if you have a relationship that needs work, this supports that as well. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to share that.
Yep. It is a strong foundation, right? Because we realize and recognize ourselves most fully, right? When we are, whatever it looks like for us, most fully expressed. So the relationship with self being the first most important foundation, right? And then who we get to be and how we get to express and explore these other beautiful parts of us in relationship of all kinds, right? And it does create connected relationships of all kinds, and specifically, you know, that partner that is deep in divine relationship with another. So there's so much exciting things coming up, but we really want to make sure that you guys get signed up for the masterclass. Hopefully you can be there live, because there's an energy, there's the ability to ask questions. But if that time doesn't work for you for some reason, certainly, you know, you will have access to the recording as well. But I'd love to open it up and see if there are any questions about today's topic, about that relationship with yourself, or about anything.
Could I ask a question of you? Thought of it. Would you tell them a little bit about the Academy, just because I think it's very important for people?
Yeah, the Academy. So, you know, the Academy, the Greatest You Academy, is all about really getting connected with that greatest version of ourselves. And that greatest version is, as I was saying earlier, is that wise, powerful, resourceful part of us that's deeply connected to the divinity within us, right? And when we go through life connected to that, when we go through life showing up as our greatest selves, every area of our lives, right now we're talking, and we're specifically talking about relationship, but our work life, our health life, our spiritual life, literally everything that we do is transformed when we show up in those spaces as our greatest self. So the Academy is a 6-month deep dive into how to access the greatest self, how to live day to day from the greatest self. And that includes, you know, the work on the nervous system, so that I am in a place where I can be calm. You know, if you're stressed, you know, you're not connected with your greatest self, right? When you're stressed and your nervous system is in a state of high activation, you're in survival mode. Survival mode is completely opposite of your greatest self. So there's work on the nervous system. There's work on getting to know your authentic self, right? Through the exercises, through processes, through coaching. There's work with limiting beliefs, right? And learning how to align your thoughts with the life, your greatest life, right? Because our thoughts create our existence, literally, right? So learning how to redirect thoughts and learning how to really embody in your mind the way that you want to live and the things that you are meant for you, right? If it's on your mind and in your heart, that means the universe wants to express it through you. So if it's a desire of yours, it's meant for you and it's for you 100%. And then of course there's the emotional piece, because sometimes we feel so, you know, we feel tossed about by life, by our emotions. And so learning how to use our emotions to our advantage, learning that we're not stuck with any set of emotions. We're the master of our minds. We're the master of our emotions. Our emotions are our guidance and can really serve to navigate us through everything that we want. It's a deep dive into, you know, the relationships that we have. What are the relationships of the greatest self? We need, you know, to be surrounded with people who are on our side who, are going to help us with the map and do the things that really guide, help us in our journey. And so it's a look at the relationships and how we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. We know how to set boundaries. We know how to provide for ourselves first, and then, how we want to take care of others as well, which is an important piece, because we often get kind of, for lack of a better term, dragged down by the relationships, or held back in some ways. And that doesn't mean we have to get rid of people. It just means that we have to connect to what our needs are, and learn more about boundaries and how we can serve without giving ourselves over. And then we move in the academy, we move into, okay, now you've done your foundational work. You are consistently showing up in life as your greatest self. You've got your tools. Now, what do you want to create? What is the first order of business here? What do you want out of life? Is it to, write your book? Is it to start a business? Is it to, find more meaningful work? Is it to, have divine relationships like we're talking about here? Is it to, develop your spirituality that maybe, you feel like something's missing inside? Is it a health issue? Is it healing from a chronic illness? Is it getting in shape again and feeling good, feeling vibrant, any and all of those things, right? So the last part of the academy is, okay, now you are trained and ready to go into that. Here's the process. Let's walk you through that and just start creating, which is a process that you use over and over and over and over again, as you constantly use your imagination to reinvent yourself and continue to up level forever, right? That's what we're here. That's our main purpose, is to actualize all that we're capable of. So that is the academy, and that's that is something.
Can I share one of the most profound experiences that you get when you do the work for yourself? Any of the work, it's an evolved, the way in which you speak, your communication becomes more powerful, because you know how not to be triggered. You know how to speak. People aren't going to upset you. Just felt that was really important to bring across. That changes people's lives, both on relationships and business and everything else. When you heal those wounds, you become a different person. And we do focus on that elevation of the talking, of the speaking. It's all that. That's one of my favorite results, is because I see how powerful it is for people when their lives like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the academy is, it's that higher level for people who really, have the call. Like, I know that there's something more for me, and I feel, and I'm ready to go for it. I'm ready to, take advantage of that and look at these pieces and put them all together. And that was really what it was born out of, because, so often we'll look at just the thoughts or just the emotions, and people are over here trying to figure out, okay, what do I need and how do I put it together? And so that's why we just, here it is, everything in one place. And it has the modules, the educational piece, the online course itself, which is like a master's degree in yourself, right? And then it has the coaching piece with lots of options for different levels of coaching and different possibilities, so that everybody gets what they need. So that's the academy. And as I said, we're also, offering these other shorter, more succinct courses. And this one that's coming up, Ready for Love, being a really awesome one that is right on time for so many people.
Yeah, thank you. And you had opened it up for questions.
Yes.
Have any questions? Okay.
I appreciate the questions that did come in.
Oh, yes. Nicole?
Hi, cutie.
So to do with self-love, the dynamics go back to like a particular, I'm dealing with the relationship with my father. that I'm choosing to be in a relationship with him. But I did come from an abusive background, not by him, but by my mother. But I'm having to be inauthentic, which means I can't speak my truth about what happened with him, or he says he'll wash my hands of me. So I'm, juggling having enough self-love for myself to be able to set up boundaries of how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
But also trying to have some sort of relationship with him at the same time, I'm finding very difficult.
Absolutely.
And I think you would, because you're struggling with wanting to say stuff that you can't.
Yeah.
So whatever that relationship is to you with your father, be clear on your motives, right? So that you can open up to a place of love.
Yeah.
It has to be a give and take in any relationship. Otherwise, why are we there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Nicole, too, that one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself is being there for the inner child that experienced those things. And when she knows that you are there for her 100%, and you are the provider of her safety, and you're listening to what she needs, and you're not ignoring her anymore, and she's going to get her needs met through you, then you're going to be able to show up in that relationship with your father in a much different way. You're not going to be relying on him for your sense of safety, or for him to take something away, because you've got it for yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's going to allow you to have a relationship with him where, since you're not needing that from him, you're just going to be able to receive some really beautiful love, and even respect. But you may not know exactly how that will look until you've gotten really in touch with the inner child, and she can count on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be a great place for some focused work is right there.
Because most of our love relationships that we create in later life, mm-hmm. often we're playing out the relationship we had with our mother or father, and we're trying to work that out in our love relationships, but we're still trying to work out that other stuff.
That's exactly right. We're trying to heal. The universe is giving us an opportunity to heal those wounds, right? And so it's bringing it up because, okay, we say, oh, that's over. That what happened with my mother and father, or whatever happened, that's over. Okay, I'm just going to go over here and live my life. But those wounds are still open and needing care. And so the universe is like, okay, here's a relationship. Look at what's going on. Look at what needs to be healed so you can finally get over it and then go and have your beautiful, peaceful life, right? But what happens is we say, oh, great, that relationship's messed up. Oh, great, that relationship's messed up. And we never see it for what it is, which is a chance to really heal and be there for ourselves. And so, it's such a powerful place to be, because we keep getting, and thank goodness we keep getting the opportunity. It may not feel good in the moment, like another opportunity, but if we would just accept it and do the work to actually heal, then we wouldn't keep getting the opportunities, and we could go on to the next level. Yeah, you're right though.
So for now I have my kitty. She's my love.
Yeah. Well, there's so much more for you, and you're on the way, because you're in the academy doing the work and showing up. So you're on that path, and it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Well, thank you all for joining us. And this will go out in the emails. It will also be.
Oh, Zen has a question.
Hey, Zen, how are you?
I'm okay. I was typing it, so but
okay.
I'll go ahead.
You know what? Can I just say, I love how the picture behind you, it makes you look like you have wings, like you are that rising phoenix, right? It's incredible.
She is the phoenix rising.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. And thank you for this. And I know I've talked with you a lot before, Mia, so you know my circumstances and stuff. And like I've come a long way in this last year doing the self-love and the like self-healing and stuff, like emotional and mental and all that, with health issues and custody issues with my ex-husband, and just stuff with my kids. Like it's like there's all these outside forces, you know, that is like I feel like I'm just keeping my head above water, just barely, you know, and I make progress, and things are going really well, and I start, you know, things start looking up, and then bam, something else happens, and then I feel like I go back under. And in the midst of all that, you know, it would be nice to have a partner, you know, to like, I just want to be held, you know, and told that it's going to be okay. But then I look at my life, on like everything that's going on, and I think, God, they're just going to look at my life like a dumpster fire. You know, like people tell me I'm strong and inspiring and all the stuff that I've been going through. Okay, that's fine. But when it comes to a partner, what guy's going to want to walk into the middle of all that, even if I am strong and inspiring? You know what I mean?
But your dumpster fire, as you're calling it, as you evolve, right? You're working on it, honey. It does piece by piece, and you will be wanting that love, right? If you go with the space of love in a relationship, I'm seeking love, I want to be held, I want to give, you're opening up the energetic doors for that. But that's one of the pieces that we teach in the love stuff that you have to open up for, right? And you'll also need to work on the other side of the dumpster kind of thing, right? Instead of it being a dumpster, maybe look at it with the opposite view. It's a growing garden that's shifting and changing.
Yep. Stuff needs to get, you know, turned up and tilled, right? Messed up, right? In order to start to grow things. And who is going to walk into that and say, you know, yeah, I want to take that on? Well, first of all, if you're doing your work, you're not putting it on them, right? You're just, they're like, you know, they're the one giving you the high five and the affection that really just puts the wind beneath your wings, right? And helping you. You're not handing it over because you're doing what it takes. That wouldn't serve you. And it certainly wouldn't serve the relationship. So that's not what you're saying. So who's going to want that? The perfect partner is going to want that. The perfect partner to you is going to want that. You know, maybe some people would be like, I just prefer, you know, to be able to sit and watch TV show or whatever. You know, that's not the person for you anyway. You want somebody who be able to get in there and get down and dirty, and that person is there. Whatever you're seeking is seeking you too. And so it's a special person that deserves to be, you know, witness to this incredible person that is, you know, transforming and growing and tilling the land, you know, so that something beautiful can grow. And so it's only a special person that would be allowed to witness that with you and be in it. And you know, that's when we're focused on the fact that, oh, there's all these obstacles, right? How can it be that you know, someone would want to come into this and share this with me? When that's what we're focused on, we're literally holding our hand out and saying, nobody come in here.
True.
Energetically, we're literally saying, we're preventing it through our own efforts. Even though we're saying we want it, what we're focused on is the fact that it's not possible and that we don't believe it. And that right there is block number 3, right?
And there are mindset that we work with people on, honey. There's mindset to get through this stuff, right?
Yeah, I go back and forth. Like I have my good days and my bad days. Today is the lower day, you know. But I like that reframe of the garden and tilling it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the wobble where you are. It's like that's your greatest self, right? You feel that. You know when you're in alignment with that and you're like, I can do look at the great things that I'm doing. Look at how I've connected with myself and I know what I want and look at how resourceful I am. That's your greatest self. And then you have, the wobble back and forth between old me that didn't know my power, didn't, forgot for one reason. You're under a lot of stress. And so, as I was saying earlier, your nervous system is, when it's activated, you're in survival mode. And survival mode is not, hey, I have such great ideas, I'm creative and resourceful. Survival mode is, how do we survive the next 2 minutes? Just get me out of this mess right now, right? And that thinking is very limited. And so we all said that's just part of the process. We learn how to connect to the greatest self, and then we spend more and more and more and more time there. But we keep going back and forth for as long as we are. But if you're showing up and doing the work, and you're obviously here today and taking advantage of the conversations that feed you in the right way, so you're going to be just fine.
And use that energy of that phoenix. It's there for a reason. You put it there for a reason.
Yeah.
So when you get down, spread your wings around that. Feel into that love that you actually have for yourself, honey.
Yeah.
Very powerful space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what it's all about. And it's about when you're having those low days, what works for you to get back into your power. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a journaling, maybe it's reading something. When you find those things, make them sacred and make sure you protect them with everything that you're worth. Like, this is, what I need. I need my time in nature. I need whatever it is to just, it's okay that I have the wobble, but I know how to get myself back. And that's where I keep going time and time again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. I'm excited to see, as you spend more and more and more time in your greatest self, what you create and who you allow to share that with you. That's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we have a question that says, what can I do about that limiting belief? So when I'm interested in a man, thinking that he's not going to be interested in me, or he probably has a girlfriend. Yeah, that is a limiting belief, right? So yeah, and what I hear there a little bit, and of course this is just really preliminary, but there's a nervousness, right? About, oh gosh, I really need him to like me, right? Instead of that trust that, hey, when I show up in the right vibration and when I'm owning and I'm authentic, then the right people find me. Like, I don't have to create anything. I don't have to worry about, is this the person? Oh no, how should I be so that, they like me, so I seem interested or whatever. Like, I don't need to worry about that. All I need to do is be in my zone with myself, creating my life, being as happy as I can. And again, these are all skills that we learn to do. It's not just you say it and it's taken care of. These are all skills that we need to learn how to do. And when you're doing that, you don't care anymore if this particular person likes you. You literally don't. You're like, I get to feel good no matter what. Mm-hmm. And the really cool thing is that then the universe only brings you the people who are aligned with you. And so you're sitting across somebody and they're like, oh my God, you're the most interesting person in the world. I can't wait to get to know you more. And everything is in flow. And so we don't act from those limiting beliefs when we're in that space of trust and ease and, making ourselves happy already. Mia, what are your thoughts on those limiting beliefs around that?
What you said. It's about understanding who you are, the depths of it, and that relationship. Because like what Lori said, there will come a point when you have loved somebody or thought you had, and then you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You grow to the point where you begin to trust yourself, respect yourself. You begin to hear things like, I love you from yourself. Shocking, I know, but it does happen once we develop that relationship with ourselves. When we develop that relationship with ourselves, we are not going to settle for something that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. And yeah, what I heard was, I need you to like me because I've given you the responsibility for my sense of security and safety. And so that's what I was talking about before. If you don't have the responsibility for my security and safety, then I'm good, whether it's you or that guy over there, and I don't mean to be like, all like flippant about it. I understand, but it literally is when you're not there's a question to repeat that. So the reason why the limiting belief in the nervousness and the anxiety around it is ever there is because I've given you, person sitting across from me, responsibility for my security. I've given you, if you don't make me feel secure, then I'm not gonna feel it. I don't have the ability to create it for myself, or I don't feel happy unless you make me happy. It's your job, right? I'm giving you the job to make me happy, secure, worthy, whatever it is. And when we take that back, that responsibility back for ourselves, it doesn't matter so much whether this person finds me interesting or not. And I can very much recognize, and this was my story 100%, that if you don't know what that feels like, to feel secure, to feel safe in the world for yourself, to think to yourself, I don't need anybody else to give me that. If you've never experienced that, I totally understand that you are confused. You're like, I don't know what that, how could it be any different? Because your brain has not experienced it. Yeah, wanting commitment from a guy right away. Yeah. And not even giving yourself a chance to decide if you really like them, if they're really a good match for you. And that happens a lot. It's just, I want connection. I want somebody to make me feel safe. So you're going to do, and I'm going to overlook all the red flags, and I'm going to overlook the fact that I may be missing some things because I just want that security so bad. And I don't know how else to get it. And that's not a bad thing. That's, we're human, and why wouldn't we want that? Because like I said, if we haven't learned how to create it for ourselves, a little bit of it from somewhere is a lot better than none of it. So that's why we do it, and it makes perfect sense. But we have the ability to live secure all the time, no matter what happens in any situation, and certainly with another person. And I know it sounds like, wow, that's a lot to take in. So I can appreciate that you're like, wait, what? Because that's how I felt too. I was like, but that doesn't make sense. I've never had that experience. And such a beautiful thing. And one of the coaches that I worked with personally, Carlita Neighbors Palermo, she'll say, the prize at the end of all of this work is not the relationship. It's yourself. That's the prize that you're working towards, is you get yourself, you get that security, and you get to have that life that you want every moment, instead of, oh, did he call today? Did he say something? Did we get in a fight? Did he seem cold today? And you're up and down, and you're like, oh, it's exhausting, right?
And it takes doing the work to get the tangible results.
Yes. Yes.
Because what Lori just said, some people would be like, whoa, I'm not even there yet.
Yeah.
That's where you develop into.
Yeah. And it's through all the tools that we talked about, right? You get to understand, why don't I feel secure in the world? Okay, let me understand that, and then develop a relationship with that part of me that experienced those things. And there are so many beautiful, modalities and methods that we use to go back and create safety, because it was nothing more than neural pathways that were created through those experiences. And we have the ability as plastic humans to create new neural pathways. It's just a matter of figuring out, what do those pathways need to look like? And then how do I use my tools on a really consistent basis to create the new pathways that say, I am safe in the world, and my security comes from within, and I know how to show up for myself in powerful ways that make me feel secure. question here. I feel like men want commitment from me right away. And then I question if I'm closed off or if I'm genuinely taking my time to get to know them and discern if it's worth my time to continue. Yeah. And you believe the latter. Yeah. And that's the beauty of having that authentic connection with yourself, is that you do know the answer to that question. And, men do this too. It's not like, women are the only ones who are looking for security in a relationship. Not at all. And so it's not surprising that some men would, want commitment right away. And so we get to continue knowing ourselves. And I think that it's important, like you said, that's a question that, that we go into quite a bit, actually, about being closed off, or some people might say avoidant. You might have heard that term, and the various reasons why that may be. But obviously, taking your time and discerning, there's a lot of beauty in that. And when we can feel safe, like, I may decide this or I may decide that. When we can feel safe in that space, that's when we make good choices.
And that's one thing that humans have. We have the right to choice. That's the power. We get to choose what storyline we want. We get to choose what ice cream we want. We get to choose what we want for dinner, right?
Yeah.
That choice, and the choice, like your ice cream, and the choice of how you want to live your life, they're the same choices, meaning you get to choose, not someone else.
Yeah.
That's the most transformative experience. When you begin to recognize your value that way, everything else also comes into alignment.
Yeah. And the question, so how would it feel for you, Amber, if a guy wanted commitment from you right away? So I don't know if you can answer that. What would it feel for you, Amber, if a guy wanted commitment from you right away? And I won't speak for you at all, but I know that, a lot of people, she's at work right now, but a lot of people, feel the fear of being engulfed, or the fear of, moving into something that is going to limit me a lot. And I don't know if that's the right, move for me, or I'm just not, feels scary. Yeah. It's healthy to take time. Yeah. A fear of being left. Absolutely. Yeah. And all of these things. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Erin.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good.
Good. Thank you so much, both of you.
It's good to see you. It's been a long time, Erin.
Yes, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, honey.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, if somebody was wanting a commitment from me right away, immediately my guard would come up, like expectations. What are the expectations of me, and can I live up to those? Because I know how I feel about me wanting a commitment from somebody else. So am I going to also superimpose my thinking on what, perceiving what they'll probably want from me, and then me shying away because I'm scared that I can't, live up to, like I said, expectations.
Yeah.
That's what communication's all about, right? You get the opportunity without fear to communicate with your future partner or somebody that you're looking into for that, because you both want to be able to authentically talk on what you want, right? You know what he truly wants. You can only feel into, unless he says, I want this kind of a relationship. That's also where you, as an evolved woman, would do the same thing. This is what I'm looking for. Where do you land on that? When you're communicating and talking.
And I guess what you ladies are saying about having a sense of self, knowing who you are inside, you're not afraid to speak that and for yourself, not stand up for yourself, but speak your spirit, speak up for your, I guess, that inner child I'm at that stage. I'm just now, I've been trying to kill my inner child my entire life. I just can't get it.
Oh,
now it's time to love it.
Exactly. We want to take her and set her on your lap and get to know her and love her. That is the way to use her to your advantage, to just really heal, is to love her. She's an incredible, beautiful being, and deserves, all the love that we can give to her. But, our discernment is so important, and our guidance, right? And that is, our discernment is very, very wonky, very, not strong, right? When we don't have that peace, when we're not fully connected with ourselves and not afraid, we make so many decisions from fear, and that clouds our discernment so much. And we have to know that when we're in that place of our greatest self, and we're really connected, understanding what our needs are and not acting from fear, all the questions that any of these, all the answers to any of these questions are right there for us. Mm-hmm. We know exactly what to say. We know exactly, and we're not afraid of acting in that way. Because if that caused somebody to be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna pursue you anymore, that your actions, whatever, it's like, perfect. You just move something out of the way so that the right thing can come in, right? Because that's not who we want to be with, but we're afraid, like, but what if I don't find somebody else? Well, what if this person, and then I'm going to be alone again. And then all that kind of stuff that comes in and clouds what, could be our good judgment. And so that's where we do the work, right? We get to the point where we're not acting from fear, we're trusting ourselves, and we got that. And then we're not struggling with, what should I do in this situation? It's easy. It's right there for us. And that's a really beautiful, secure way. That's a way to provide security for ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we are so, divine and intuitive and powerful and resourceful. We just, we let life, the experiences of life, create thinking for us that is out of alignment with that version of ourselves. And so by clearing it away, we get to rediscover that and then stand in our glorious power. And I don't mean that like power over someone. I mean it strictly as power over, oh, thank goodness I have clarity. Thank goodness I have, ease. Thank goodness I feel
wisdom.
Peaceful. I have wisdom. I have everything I need, right, to navigate life in a way that just feels really good. It's not that, we won't ever have a moment where we're like, oh, that feels kind of bad, but it doesn't rock us. It's not like, it's like, oh my God, this is so hard. It's like, okay, I can see how pieces are moving and how I'm tilling the soil, and my garden is going to be growing in different ways. And that's how we want to do life. That's a beautiful life.
Right? I love that, tilling the soil. Oh, how great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And that's what we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Well, this has been very, very just enjoyable and enlightening, and just, I love getting with conscious-minded women who are ready for opening up to, what's next for me? How do I embody my glorious self, my greatest self, more and more? So I appreciate your time and just hanging out with us today. And I hope all of you will be at the masterclass next Wednesday evening, and certainly sign up for it anyway, so you can catch the replay. But this is going to be fun. We're going to keep taking this to the next level, and we're going to keep exploring what that would look like, and how we can become our own sources of security and validation and love and support and all the other things. And we get to do it together. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Betty. And I'm going to turn off the recorder.